Hello, this is Lorelei Rutledge, Research and Information Services Librarian at the University of Utah's Marriott Library. In this tutorial, we're going to talk about how to import references from a variety of databases into EndNoteWeb, a popular citation management system. So first, I'm going to start at the library homepage at lib.utah.edu and click on the button that says Article Databases above the USearch search box. I'll select E and then go ahead and scroll down to EndNoteWeb. EndNoteWeb is free to University of Utah patrons, although user registration is required. So I'm going to click on EndNoteWeb, and you'll see here that it's going to ask you to sign up for an account if you're new to EndNoteWeb. I'm going to go ahead and sign in because I already have an account. Two pieces of advice here. First, make sure that you use your Utah email account, and also make sure that you select a password that's not the same as your University of Utah UID password. So once you log in for the first time, your first page will have a little bit of information about how EndNoteWeb works. Since I've already downloaded some references, my references are visible on my first page. So now let's take a look at how to use some different databases and import references. So first, I'm going to start with an EBSCOhost database called Family and Society Studies Worldwide. This strategy that I'm teaching you will work for any EBSCOhost database. So first, I'm going to enter a search, and I'm going to pick child and abuse and go ahead and just run my search. And you'll see here that we have the title of the article and some basic information, and then this option at the bottom to add to folder. So if I want that article, I'm going to just click Add to Folder. Once you've added the articles that interest you to your folder, you can go up and click on your folder along the top of the screen, and then you'll see this option over here on the right to export. So I'm going to go ahead and click that, and then I'm going to see this option to direct export to EndNoteWeb. If I go ahead and click that radio button and say save, then I'm going to get a screen that opens my EndNoteWeb automatically. Then it's going to tell me that the import worked, and if I go to the My References page, you'll see that those two references were imported and put in my unfiled folder. So that's one strategy to do this that works for any EBSCOhost database. Next, let's take a look at how to do this in ProQuest databases. So I picked sociological abstracts, but this strategy will work for any ProQuest database. So I'm going to go ahead and just enter my same search, child and abuse. And then you'll see that next to each of my results, I get the option to click and select that result. So I'm just going to go ahead and select the top two, and then go over here to this Export and Save option. So I'm going to pick the second option that says Export to EndNote, Reference Manager, or ProCite. Then I'll get this box that asks me where I want to do my output, and I'll make sure it says EndNote. And then it will ask me what content I want. I'm going to say I want the citation, abstract, and indexing. If we scroll down to the bottom and click Continue, then it will tell us that our request is in progress. And at some point, it's going to tell us when that request is finished, and also show us in our download panel that request. So it's right here. So now, if you want to, you can either drag this onto your desktop to make it easier to find, or just leave it here. So the next step here is to go back to our EndNoteWeb. I'm going to click on the Collect button again and click on Import References. Then I'm going to choose that file that was created for me. So I'm going to click on the ProQuest document, and it's going to download it here. Then I have to pick my import option. So this is basically where I tell EndNoteWeb how it should read the file that the database created for me. So I'm going to pick ProQuest for my import option, and then I'm going to pick the folder that I want this to go to. I'm going to say that for now I just want it to go to my unfiled folder. Then I will click Import. When the import is done, it will tell me that 2 references were imported. If I click on My References, I can see that where I had 2 items before, now I have 4, so those other 2 items were added. Now I'm going to show you how to do the same thing in PubMed. So if we go to PubMed and enter our search, we'll have that same option to select the buttons next to the items we want. But here, the process is a little different than the other databases we've looked at. We're going to go to the Send To button and say Send to File. Now, we'll tell it the format we want, so I'm going to say that we want Medline. This is very important to make sure that the download works properly. Now, we'll go ahead and create our file, which will also come up here and we can save it to our desktop, or we can just leave it in the downloads. So now we go back to EndNote Web and go back under the Collect tab to import references. Here we'll choose that same file from our downloads. So here's my PubMed Result 1, and I'll click that. Then here you'd want to pick the import option ProQuest. I'll also say that I want this in my unfiled folder and click on Import. Now it's going to tell me that my reference was imported, and if I go and click on my unfiled list, I should be able to see the reference that I just imported. The last database that we're going to look at is Google Scholar. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Google Scholar. And here, you need to do a little bit of prep work to make this work. So the first thing you need to do is go to your settings. You'll see here that under Bibliography Manager, it's going to give you the option to show links to import citations. And we're going to say that we want to import citations into EndNote. So once you save that, this should work, and now we'll go ahead and enter our search, and you'll see that next to a lot of these at the bottom you get this option to import into EndNote. So let's say that I am interested in this book and I want to import it into EndNote. I'm going to click that tab, and then I'm going to get this download in my downloads folder that just says scholar.endnoteweb. Then I'm going to go back into EndNote Web and click on the Collect tab and import references. And here I'm going to choose that file again from my downloads. And then here under the import option, you want to actually go down to EndNote Import and click that button. Then I'll say we want this in our unfiled again and go ahead and import it. We'll see that one reference was imported, and so if we go and look at unfiled, we'll see that the last reference in this list is probably my reference from EndNote Web. So as you can see, all of the databases are different. If you're not sure about how to import a database reference into EndNote Web, you can either talk to me or Google it. One of the first things that I would recommend if you're trying to figure it out is to go to this Collect tab and import references and just see under this import option drop down if there is one for the database that you're interested in. So for instance, Amazon, Cinol, Biomed Central, all of these have their own import options. And if they have an import option, that can give you a clue that they're compatible with EndNote Web. So please stick around for our next tutorial, which is more about EndNote Web, and please don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions. Thank you so much, and have a great afternoon.